Hi, hello everyone. My name is Monty Miller. I am the Public Relations and Advocacy Specialist for Wisper Internet. I'm coming to you live from near St. Louis, Missouri. I want to welcome our guest today, Gabe Peterson from Calix, and he's going to talk about the Wisper Home app. Gabe, go ahead and fire away.
All right. Well, thank you, Monty. I appreciate you having me on here today. It's been a while since we've done one of these. We did a few of these last year, talking about some of the features of the Wisper Home app, and since then, there's been a bunch of updates and a bunch of new features and functions that have been added. So I'm excited to be back today to talk specifically about some of those. And just as a kind of quick reminder as to what the Wisper Home app is, the Wisper Home app, I like to refer to it as the remote control for your internet. So much like you have a remote control for your TV, you use that remote control to, change the channels and do all of the other wonderful things that we do on our TV. The Wisper Home app provides that same functionality for your internet or your Wi-Fi. Being able to see when devices are connected, being able to control what devices are connected for your kids, being able to see, control what they can actually see on the internet, maybe create some parental control filters and those sorts of things. And certainly what I love to see with what you guys have done at Wisper is you've rolled in these enhanced features into your overall internet solution. So the enhanced parental controls, the network protection services that are delivered through the Wisper Home app are just part of that overall solution that you guys are delivering to your customers. And I think that's awesome.
And it's a great to have a remote control that you don't lose in your couch or your kids hide from you. So yeah, it's one that you've always got in your pocket and you can use it from anywhere. So Gabe, do you want to show us some of these new features?
Yeah, absolutely.
Review some of the old ones, maybe start there and for some of our new people, and then kind of go into what's changed and what's new and exciting.
Yeah, let's do it. So hopefully, Monty, can you see everything on my screen?
Yes,
Does that look all right? Okay, perfect. So I've got the Wisper Home app up on my phone here, and we're going to walk through some of these, kind of key new features that have been rolled out in our latest release, as well as touch on some of the other features that have rolled out previously as well. So one of the first things I just wanted to note that's a new feature that we rolled out in our last release is we have rolled out Spanish language support in the app. So if you're more comfortable, seeing the app in Spanish, if that's your native language and you're more comfortable seeing it there, you can easily just go under, let me go back here. I should go back and walk through the steps. Under the settings button there in the bottom right-hand corner, if you click on settings and click on language, you can flip that over into Spanish now. We also have French Canadian. I would expect most of the people we're talking to today are probably more comfortable either in English or Spanish and not French Canadian, but there are those multiple options. So you can just quickly flip it over into Spanish. One note I will make on the Spanish piece of this is any information that you've personalized in the app will not change over into Spanish. So as an example, I've got profiles set up here for myself, for my work devices, for my kids. Those will remain the same. Or if you've changed the name of the devices in your home, those will stay the same as well. But all of the other terms and all of that will switch over. Let me just change it actually really quick so you guys can see what it looks like. So we'll go change language, and then you can see how that flips over into Spanish.
That's great.
And then I need to go back and change it back to English. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to navigate around here as we're going through the rest of this presentation.
I think that's a great feature. Here, just in the last few months, Wisper has been working with some communities that are Spanish speaking, and so I think that kind of shows inclusion. It shows Wisper, we care about all of our customers, and it makes things a lot easier for us to communicate and for them to understand what we want to communicate with them. So I think that's an awesome feature.
Yeah, I'm really excited we rolled that one out. I mean, we've got customers all over the country, and some of them with large subscriber bases of people who are native Spanish speakers, and it's just, as you said, inclusive, and makes it just easier for people to navigate around the app in their native language. One other new feature that was rolled out is you see right there at the top, the My Network. You see that the internet is connected, And the last speed test that was run now persists on the top section of the app. So if I come here under my network, and if I wanted to run a speed test to see, or a bandwidth test to see what speed am I actually getting from Wisper, you could actually come here, click on bandwidth test and click run test, and it will run a speed test. I have my internet provider is a cable provider. So I have very fast download speeds, but not quite so fast upload speeds. And when I run that, I will see those numbers, whatever the latest numbers are, will persist there. So there's a lot of things that can impact speed. What I love about the bandwidth test that's actually built into the Wisper Home app is it's testing the speed, the actual internet speed that is being delivered to the GigaSpire, that wireless access point that's sitting in your home. And that, to me, I think is really beneficial, because there are lots of things that can impact speed after the wireless access point. They could be interference from other devices. There could be, building materials are very impactful for Wi-Fi. There's just tons of things that can impact Wi-Fi. But if you want to test, hey, what is the actual speed that I'm getting from Wisper? That's the best way to test it, is to just go in there under my network and run that bandwidth test. And then when you do jump into the app, you'll see that last speed test or bandwidth test populated there right at the top of the screen.
And then how long so that'll stay on there until they run a new speed test.
Correct. And then it will just show the, whatever the last one is there. And then under the notification section as well, when you've run speed test, you can go back and see the history. Oh, wow. So you can see the one that I just ran, at 8:06 this morning. You can see the details there as well. 538 meg down and 17 meg up. And then you've got the historical. Anytime I've run a speed test, as you can see, I do this quite a bit. You can see the history there as well.
Great.
That little notification section is actually very helpful. And actually that leads me into another feature that I wanted to talk about, which is some enhancements that we've made to the notification section. Let me find a notification that would be relevant for this. So there's this one that popped up for me back in February, and it was a alert that popped up because the Heartbleed virus was actually blocked from coming into my home network, which was wonderful. I was very happy that this did not get into my network. And as part of the Wisper Home solution that you all are delivering, that Protect IQ, that whole home network security service, is part of this overall solution. So all of your customers have this. All of your customers who have a GigaSpire in their homes have this functionality. And this is very helpful, because a lot of the devices that sit in our homes now are smart home devices. Your connected thermostat, your
refrigerator,
your refrigerator. Yeah. I mean, they put Wi-Fi in everything now, right? Everything has Wi-Fi. You can barely buy a crock pot or something that doesn't have Wi-Fi in it. It's insane. Well, the security on those devices is frankly pretty trash usually. And so having that whole home network security that kind of runs over the top of all of those connected devices is really powerful. And I love that you guys are delivering that to all of your subscribers as just part of the overall service. So this happened in my home. I got this alert, and there's just some additional details now that are provided in the Wisper Home app about what the alert is. So this is letting you know that, hey, no actions required. This intrusion attempt was blocked, and this just provides you a little bit more information about exactly what actually happened there. So really helpful just to see that these things are being blocked in your home, and to get a little bit more information about what the threat actually was.
When it's kind of like that, the protection in the night with it, they were stopping things that you don't even know are out there until you get an alert that, oh, hey, my system blocked this for me. And if you didn't have it, that alert may have come on your computer, said, hey, you're infected. So that's obviously, it's also, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, and it's there, if they need it. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a fantastic insurance policy, especially again for those, you can install virus protection on a laptop or a desktop. Those solutions exist out there, but you can't you can't put virus protection software on your Nest thermostat, right? That
Right.
there's just no way to do that. And unfortunately, with hackers getting more and more sophisticated, they are leaning into those devices that have poor network security to really use those as avenues to get into people's homes.
I was going to mention that there are more outside bad guys or evil forces out there than there were just a few years ago, and you see it in the news every day. So this gives people a little more peace of mind that we're stopping it from even getting to your house.
Absolutely, yeah, and this is not a new feature, but just to lean into that conversation for a sec, Monty, couldn't agree with you more. I mean, these folks, unfortunately, are getting more and more sophisticated. And one of the other, I would consider a sort of a basic feature, but it's a really popular feature, is seeing which devices are connected to your network and seeing when a new device is connected. So anytime a new device connects to your Wi-Fi, you will get a notification through the Wisper Home app that says new device is connected to the network. So if you're concerned about security, if you're concerned about privacy, this is a great way to see when any new device is connected. Maybe you gave your neighbor your network name and password
Right.
2 years ago for the barbecue, and they never disconnected from it or something.
Well, I have kiddos that come over. Maybe their friend brings over a gaming device and they want to play and things like that. And of course, like you said, they get hooked on and
Yep.
They forget about it or may not know it, or somebody's cell phone, things like that. So yeah,
totally. Hey, so you reminded me of something. So thank you for leading me perfectly into that. So your kiddos having friends that come over and their devices, you want to connect their devices, or their devices want to get connected to the internet. So there's a couple of things there. You can, with the Wisper Home app as well, you can set up guest networks. So if you wanted to create a guest network for your kids' friends so that you don't have to hand out your normal SSID and password, you can do that here by going into network, my network, and then clicking on add a network. And then you could just select a guest network and you could create a username and password. You can also set it up so that those devices are isolated. So if your child's friend is bringing over a device that maybe they don't have network protection at their house and that device is riddled with viruses, well, if you've got isolation turned on, it's not going to be able to talk to any of the devices that are on other portions of that network. So it's completely isolated on its own little network here. So that can, again, leaning into that security and privacy piece of this, that could be a really nice benefit.
Anyone that has kids, that they'll click on anything and they look at everything. So you never know, what kind of bugs they could be bringing into their devices. And yeah, you're right. I don't want them on my network. And same with my kids. I don't want my kids to go to a sleepover and accidentally, infect somebody else's network. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A 6-year-old is, similar to maybe like a 60-year-old, right? Where unfortunately it's the similar type of group that's going to click on everything,
Right.
Leaning into that restrictions piece of it for your children too. One of the other new features that we rolled out, actually, I think it was last quarter, is this idea of default restrictions. So one of the features that we've been asked for a lot in the past is, hey, if my kids' friends are coming over, I don't want to have to manually add them to a profile that has all of the restrictions for my child. I just want those new kids that are coming over to have all of the default restrictions that I have set up for my family. So with the enhanced parental control solution, you can come in here under my networks, click on default restrictions. And if you, let's say, as an example, you don't want, pornography, nudity, gambling, alcohol abuse, drugs, any of these solutions, you can just turn those on and any device that connects to your network will have these restrictions.
Great.
So I could see this being really helpful in the exact scenario that you were talking about there, Monty, of, hey, my kid's friend's bringing his Xbox over and, I don't let my kid play Call of Duty,
right,
but, it's okay for this other kid to play it at his house, but I want to have those same levels of restrictions, in my home. So you can just set those up as default restrictions.
There's a certain social media app that my 11-year-old is begging to have. And I just won't let her. Well, my friends have it. Well, they're not going to have it if they come to my house.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, not to name names, but maybe that one. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, exactly. So perfect example. So if you wanted to create a default restriction for all of the devices in your home, you could just block that application. And then any device that comes into your house will not have access to TikTok as an application.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, it's really cool. That application level filter I see is really powerful for parents because kids are very clever
Well, I
and
can
they
be a
can
good dad and say, sure, go ahead and download it, and then just restrict it on my network. And then, sorry, it must be the internet's fault.
I love that. I don't know. Something's wrong with TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great idea. I love that. Yeah, but there's that application level filter I think is really powerful. The other cool thing about that, let me actually just go back to that really quick. So let's pull up TikTok as an example. And this is something that actually let me find another one, see if I can find it really quick here. The other cool thing is you can actually set up time-based restrictions as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not finding a great example of this, so sorry.
That's important. I do that on some of our gaming devices, and then you talk about kids being clever. They figure out how to skirt around that also. So that's
exactly. So what you can do is you can say, basically, you can set it up where you can say, hey, you're only getting 15 minutes of TikTok time a day, as an example. And so, once that time is met, then that application will no longer be available. So that I think can be really helpful for parents as well who are trying to set some healthier screen time habits for their kids, or maybe even for themselves. You can actually create some restrictions in there based on specific applications.
So, Gabe, we're pushing on time a little bit here. Is there other?
Yeah, the only other one that I wanted to add is these new features are these two that are kind of sitting in the middle of the screen under safe search and YouTube restriction. Again, we were talking about kids being clever on how to get around some of these parental controls. They can go through, DNS or iCloud private relay to sometimes get around the parental controls. So if you want to add an additional level of protection around that, you can, as a parent, go in here and just toggle on those block DNS over HTTPS or block iCloud private relay, and you can add those additional levels of restrictions for your child's devices. So that's another way that you can enhance that experience and make sure that kids are not getting around the parental controls that you have set up.
That's great. I love that. I love the new Spanish feature. So I want to kind of wrap this up. If there's anything else that you wanted to add first, I've got kind of one final.
I did just want to add. Yeah, I just wanted to add one other one, Monty, really quick.
Sure.
And this is a feature that we've been asked a lot for in the past as well. So being able to have multiple admins on the same account. So as an example, being able to have a husband and wife who can have two separate logins. Before, they would have had to use the same login, and they would have they would have just had to log each other in and out of the app if they both wanted to have it on their phone. Now what you can do is you can actually come in here and you can set up a second admin. So I've set my wife up as an example under that account admin section. So you just would click on the button, you would put in their name and email address, and it would send them an email, and then they can have admin access to the app as well. So I did just want to mention that one because I know
these are features that you can do from anywhere, correct?
Correct.
So like
you do not need to be
dinner on a date night and you realize, I didn't set or just something like that. That can be done, from pretty much anywhere you are, so you don't have to be at home, in front of a machine.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a huge benefit of the app is, you can control it from wherever. So, if you're away and, maybe all of a sudden a bunch of new devices get connected to your network and you realize that your kid's having a party that you didn't,
there you go.
Let them do. You can, call up and have that conversation.
The refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly.
Transformers.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I want to just kind of tie all this in and kind of put a bow on it. You talked a little bit about 6-year-olds and 60-year-olds. So on a scale of 1 to 10, let's talk about ease of use. Some people are techies. I work for an internet company, but I wouldn't really call myself a techie. So, tell me how easy this is for anybody to use, and for people not to be scared of it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think this is the nice part about it is you can use it for a wide range of folks, right? If you just want to, see when new devices are connected to your network, and you want to make sure that, you're seeing if a virus is, pops up on your network, those sorts of things, you can just kind of let this run in the background and you'll get alerts as those things happen, right? So you can be kind of set it and forget it. And if you are a little bit, more of a techie like me, or, a little bit nerdier about it like me, and really want to get in there and turn all of those knobs and dials and really get specific about what your kids can see and can't see, there's all of that functionality as well. So, setting it up should take, honestly, probably 60 to 90 seconds. It's a very easy setup. It's just download the app, scan the GigaSpire that's in your home. There's a QR code that sits on the bottom of it. Grab my demo here. There's a little QR code that sits on the bottom of the GigaSpire that's sitting in your subscribers' homes. If they have one of these systems, they can scan that QR code and set it all up. And like I said, it should be 60, 90 seconds to set it up, and you're pretty much good to go from there. And then, like I said, if you want to get in and really start turning the knobs and dials, that's all good there as well. So definitely flexible for, folks who are at different ends of the technology spectrum.
And again, this kind of highlights, our partnership and Wisper's commitment. We talk about the last mile of internet, but this is the last foot of internet. This is, we want to be complete, from the tower to your phone, lost in the couch somewhere. So
hopefully not lost in the couch. Yeah. But yes, no, I'm totally with you, man. It's, just having that control over your internet, having that control over your Wi-Fi, I think is a really great thing that you all have put in the hands of your subscribers, so that, if they choose and if they want to, have that control, they have all of the tools to do that and support it.
Well, that's great. And I look forward to talking to you about more innovations and changes and upgrades and everything else. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, man, that's those are the main things I want to talk about today. I just want to say thanks. I really appreciate you having me on. It's always good to talk to you and to your customers, and I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate everything that Calix does with us, and in your explanation of things, and hopefully we won't have any invasive refrigerators attacking us. So
let's hope not.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.